Hey friends, it's rskt, and in today's video I just want to sort of go over some projects that I've been working on in Moho recently, lots of little experiments that I've been doing, and sort of, show off some little tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way, as well as ramble on a little bit about different ways of doing things and different things that I'm hoping to accomplish in the future. So just to let you know, usually I like to script my videos out, and I was planning on just making separate videos for some of the animations that I did a little while ago. But I just felt like I was repeating myself over and over and showing off the same thing again and again. And what I really wanted to show was the areas that I really stuffed up in and what I learned after the fact, which would help me improve next time, because I found those things were really, really cool. So instead of just doing separate videos on each animation and only getting like a little bit of that thrown in, I've kind of just thrown that idea out the window, and now we've just got one video that's going to show little pitfalls that I fell into, little cool things that I discovered along the way, in the hopes that people can learn from this and feel inspired by it to sort of move on with their own creations. Now, you have to forgive me, I'm a bit sick at the moment, so my voice is a little raspy throughout some of this. Just finished editing it all together, and it clocks in at about an hour and a half. So rather than make a big, long hour and a half video that probably no one's going to sit through all of, I'm just going to break this up into 3 separate videos. Some parts will be more interesting than others, but just to give you an idea, we'll be going over things like cool paper cutout effects, ways to make your rigs look a little less robotic. We'll be looking at how to rig up things like strings or ropes, which there are tutorials out there for that on YouTube for Moho, but not a lot. And I don't think any of them really tackle it in the way that we're going to tackle it in this video. We'll also be looking at like 360-degree head turns, which I think is pretty cool in kind of a different way than you might expect. We'll also be looking at things like bone dynamics and delays to help automate certain parts of our animations. And towards the very end, we'll probably just be looking at some stuff I've been trialing out with arm rigs lately. I haven't really figured that out fully yet, but I thought I'd throw it in there at the end because I thought it was pretty cool. Either way, I'm not sure if I'm just going to release all 3 of these videos at once or just sort of maybe do like a weekly thing. Let me know down below in the comments if you've sort of found any of it useful as well and what you kind of want to see from me next. Without any further ado, let's get stuck into part 1. Okay, so here's one of the first things I wanted to go over today. I've just got this open in VLC right now, but maybe I'll bring it up as an overlay. So yeah, I made this little character walking around. Now, the illusion's probably broken given the fact that everything else is playing out in real time. But I kind of was experimenting with trying to see if I could make something look like a paper cutout stop motion animation, but using Moho. So we've got a few things going on here. There's a little bit of noise applied. I blurred it slightly just to make it blend in with the rest of the image. You can see there's also a bit of a shadow that's being cast over the synth. And the way that I actually incorporated all of this together was using After Effects. Now, you actually can do this sort of compositing in Moho itself. You can motion track footage and everything, but we're not really going to be going over that today. The main thing I kind of wanted to show off is how I achieved this paper cutout effect. So here's the Moho file that we've got here. And if I just press play, this is what we're looking at. Now, in the final version, it's actually shaped around the character. I animated the outline by hand. But I think that this works just as well. And I'll just turn off the bones and stuff here so we can see. And yeah, we've got this nice sort of sketchy character and this paper cutout look with a little bit of 3D depth. So you could add in this 3D depth later on in whatever program you're using to composite, but I just wanted to sort of do it here and see what I could get away with. So if we go back, just quickly going over the basic rig, we've got this root control. You can see his feet are nice and planted on the floor, and that's because they're using these control bones. They've got independent angles, which are only really available on frame 1, so that I can move his foot up and down. This just rotates the body, but it's mainly just to give something for the body to bind onto. And then finally, I've got this smart bone up here that's giving us some squash and stretch. So if we press play, yeah, we get this nice little squash and stretch motion. And you'll notice that it's a little bit jittery. And that's because, and I'll just turn off this paper layer, we're actually animating this guy on 3. So yeah, he's animating or moving on every 3rd keyframe just to sort of help sell the fact that he's hand-drawn. Now, I didn't really want to go too crazy with this. I am doing some things with line boil. So if I just turn off the brush effects, we can see that This is what it looks like without line boil. And I probably could have gone ahead and either set up a smartphone or hand animated the ball or the sketchiness just to try and make it look a little bit different every time so that it didn't exactly look like the line ended. I'll just stop. That the line started here and ended here. But yeah, this was mainly just sort of a quick test. Now, let's just turn on this paper layer really quick. We'll hide this character and we'll turn off masks. So this is really what we're looking at. We'll hide these bones as well. This is really what we're looking at here. So this layer is comprised of these lines, which are just vectors that are hand drawn in. I'll turn off the paper layer and that. So they're just vectors and they have a little bit of wobble happening to them. And that's also being applied to this paper texture. So if we zoom out, we've got this wobble, it's skewing, it's rotating, it's scaling. Just a sort of, and sorry, the way that I should explain, the way that I'm doing this is we've just got one keyframe on the position, the scale, and the rotate controls. And if you click on this, we can see I've just set it to noisy. So we actually get a few different parameters. You can play around the amplitude and the scale, and these are my settings here. And basically, once we set up that keyframe, it's just going to continuously give us this random moving output. Now from there, we've got the actual mask, which I'll just turn masks back on. And this mask, again, I'm not really doing too much. I think I hand animated it in the final thing. But for this mask, I'm actually just taking the points. Oops, I'll turn on bones again. So yeah, you can see that I've got these points. I've selected all of the points, or at least most of them. I probably didn't select these bottom ones too much. And I've applied noisy to them as well. And all in all, that gives us this cool sort of paper look. It looks like, every few frames I've torn off a different sheet of paper. And yeah, that's the effect that we're getting. Now, finally, if you zoom in, you can see that I've actually got this little bit of depth around the edge. So just to sort of quickly smash through that, I've just selected this paper layer. If we go in, we can go to shadows and you can see that I've got shadows turned on. So we zoom back in, shadows on, and it's just offset to the side a little bit. And I've made the shadow color just slightly darker than the paper. Now, this is a quick and easy way to do it. I think a better way would actually be to do this separately and give this its own, like you could just duplicate this entire paper layer, put it underneath and offset it by hand. They're all going to be doing the same thing anyway, and then maybe give this its own texture just so that it doesn't look like just a gray stroke. And by doing it that way as well, you could actually even just throw on like a little bit of a highlight layer on some things. But, this was just a quick and easy example. And then finally, yeah, if we throw in the rest of the body, turn on our layer effects, we get this cool paper cutout effects. So I just exported each frame as a PNG and then brought it into After Effects and motion tracked it to the footage, giving us this as the final result. Now, this is something I was heavily experimenting with at the time, and I'm definitely planning on coming back to and doing a bit more. But I realized when I tried it on this second character, I still had a little bit more about Moho that I needed to learn. So I've got this character here. If I press play, nothing too amazing. He's probably moving a little bit too smooth. But, you can see that what I've done here is applied the noisiness, but I've also hand animated some of these points. So they're actually shaping around his feet as they're moving. It's also happening with his body. And yeah, you can see that I've applied that shadow layer, but I've also applied like a little bit of a highlight layer using the same method. And just for those curious, this rig is nothing special. This was sort of early days before I knew a little bit more about rigging in Moho. But yeah, we've got this squash and stretch happening on his pelvis because I needed his pelvis to stay in place. Got some control bones for these hands. Nothing amazing, not like a lot of smart actions for those. We've got these control bones for his feet, so we can move them around. And he breaks pretty easily. Got this head, and I think if I go to frame 1 and move this guy, There we go. This is his head rotation. So it doesn't really move past there. That's kind of his front on look. We can slowly turn it to the right just to give his head a little bit of movement. And yeah, you can see that I got these bones at the top here that are sort of acting as his hair. So yeah, just like a cool little dude sitting made out of paper. And the final render for that looks like this. So yeah, I kind of wanted to, like, because I've got my music channel and I do a little bit of synthesizer stuff on there. I was kind of planning on making like really quick, crudely drawn characters that could sort of slot in from time to time and dance to the grooves as people were listening to the music. But yeah, at this stage, I kind of abandoned it because I just realized I still had so much more to learn about rigging in Moho. But these were cool little proofs of concept. I definitely think that if anybody's out there and they want to use this as inspiration, yeah, I mean, give it a go. It's quite an easy effect to pull off. Your characters don't need to look amazing. You know, you can kind of make them as rough as you want. But once you got like a really cool rig, you could just start throwing them around your house, get some footage, incorporate them in. I thought it would be a really cool idea to have like a dude running around and then jumping over or through something. But as he jumped, he turned into a scrunched up ball of paper and then quickly unfolded as he landed. That's definitely something that I want to experiment with in the future. But yeah, I hope that this little section was inspiring to somebody out there to try something similar. So this is another project that I worked on some time ago. This is a skateboarder animation. I'll just hit play. And yeah, not great, not bad. I kind of hate that background smear that I've used there, so I'm just going to remove that. So this section, I really want to talk about ways to make your rig look less robotic, because as happy as I am with sort of the end result of this, I know I probably could have pushed it further. But at the end of the day, it still looks very rigged. You know, I've got this kind of hand-drawn look and the sort of paint smears are happening with the line boil, but it still looks and behaves very much like a 2D rig. I'm just going to hide the original illustration that I did and we'll just focus on this. And maybe first up, we'll just have a quick look at the rig because we'll be coming back to this rig to look at a few other things later. So yeah, just at the top, we've got some smart actions. So this gives us some slight head rotation. We've got a body rotation. This is sort of help his backpack and arms look like they're turning. Got this just to sort of turn that with his body. So if he's one way, the coat tail can move with it, that sort of thing. We've got this rotation for his left leg, and that's purely because as he's skating, you'll see that it sort of has to twist and turn to make it look like his leg is facing one way and then facing the other. Got this control down here to do the same thing for his foot. And I've got this control, I'll just move his foot out of the way, which is turning this leg, keeping his shoe the same, but also rotating the skateboard. And I'm not very happy with the way that I've rigged up this skateboard, and I'll go into that a little bit later in the video. Now, finally, yep, we've got some control bones for this leg, and we can, you know, move his foot around and rotate things and do all that cool stuff. I've got this control bone, his leg's moving the wrong way, set up for his foot, and of course the skateboard is attached to that. We've got a root bone up here, pretty cool stuff. And yeah, the rest is like your standard body stuff. He doesn't even have arms, so yeah, pretty rough sort of rig. So let's get into ways that we can sort of make this look better. So straight off the bat, yeah, we're using line boil. So if we have a look at this and press play, you see that all of these strokes and lines, I'll hide the bones, they're all moving to give that sort of hand-painted frame by frame look. But they're not really, the lines themselves aren't moving. If I turn off the line boil and the paint effects or the brush strokes, this is pretty much what we're looking at. It's very robotic, it's very basic. Now, this guy is animated on ones, and that's purely because of something to do with bone dynamics that I'll probably get into a little bit later. We could select all of these and maybe switch it to something like 3, and straight away, yeah, it looks a bit jumpy, but it's already starting to make things look a little bit more frame by frame like. So I'll turn back the line boil. Yeah, it's really messing up his leg. There's obviously something going on there, but either way, we'll switch this back to 1s for now. So yeah, ways that we can make this look less robotic. Well, here's something that I just didn't know about, and I kind of wish that I knew about it a lot sooner. So I'm going to expand all of the layers associated with this guy. Great, and I'm just going to select this top one. Now, straight off the bat, we can actually do what we're about to do and apply it to multiple layers at once. So back on this layer window, I'm going to scroll all the way down and select it all the way down to this wheel color. And as soon as we do that, we get this little message saying multiple layers are selected. Changes will be applied to all as applicable. Now, if we go to the Vectors tab, we've got a few cool little options here. So the first one is noisy outlines. And as soon as I click that, you see that we're getting like a little bit of a preview as to what's going on. We can also do noisy fills as well, which is pretty cool. So we can have the fills follow the noise. And then we can go animated noise. And straight off the bat, yeah, you can kind of see what's going on here. If we turn off noisy fills, we can even make the outlines go like outside of the fills. But I'll just leave them both selected for now. And we'll hit apply. And let's hit play. Now, it's already starting to look a little bit wobbly, a little bit too wobbly, but basically what this thing is doing is applying like a noise texture over the top. So first things first, let's just increase the size of this noise texture to something pretty drastic. We'll hit apply. Great, maybe we'll even go a little bit more, something like 450-ish. Okay, so we're starting to get like a little bit of warble. We could maybe decrease the offset just so that it's happening a little bit less. And there's lots of different things you can do here. We can actually make this happen, like, for example, on every third frame, which kind of, I think, really sells this, especially, you know, if he was animated on something like 2s, but you've got it changing every 4th frame or something. It kind of really moves things around. Let's up it to the offset a little bit more. And yeah, there we go. Like, given the fact that he's animated on 1s, that's not great. But now this kind of really looks like it was roughly drawn frame by frame. And given how rough the illustration is, I could kind of get behind this as sort of selling the effect a little bit more. Now, something cool about this interval thing that you may not know is that, yeah, we can set it to every third frame. But if you have it set to 0, then it will happen only when something is moving. Now, it's a bit difficult to see given that everything is moving here, but that can be really great if you've got like a really great looking static shot and then you only want like lines and stuff wriggling around when a character's arm moves, then just the arm will sort of have this happen to it, that sort of thing. But yeah, maybe we'll leave this up to, let's try 4. We'll just experiment with this a little bit more. And yeah, kind of neat. So you can go really crazy with this. We can actually like bump up the offset to something stupid and get some really cool results. We could turn the scale of this all the way down. It's really going to break him, but yeah, you know, maybe we'll just pump the scale up a little bit and this down further. And yeah, I mean, you can get some like really trippy, fantastic results just playing around with this effect. I'd kind of hope in the future, maybe one day, that they'll kind of bring in like some different sort of noise examples that you can do here. There's other things like etch a sketchy and line count. I haven't really played around with these very much, so I'm not entirely sure what they do, but yeah, you can get some really fantastic sort of stuff out of this. Either way, I just thought that this would be worth showing off to you guys, because yeah, I definitely struggle or have struggled in the past with my illustrations definitely looking like 2D animated rigs. For example, the Mantis animation that I did some time ago, it might be a little bit choppy to play it back right now. Yeah, it is. If we turn off the line boil, you know, I was very happy with this animation. A lot of people liked it, but it does look very sort of cut out 2D animator style, and I really wanted it to have more of a hand-drawn look. And I think applying something like that really would have helped sort of sell the illusion of what I was actually going for. Actually, I'm kind of curious to see if we were to apply that. I mean, yeah, the computer sort of struggles with it a little bit. Maybe we'll turn off line boil. It's just happening to his mouth. I mean, yeah, maybe we'll give it a quick go and just sort of expand absolutely everything here and just see if we can pull it off. Let's go noisy outlines, noisy fills, animated noise. We'll hit apply for now. And we've got line boil turned off. So yeah, he's already looking a little bit wobbly. And of course, this is going to behave differently if you have your outlines on the same layer as your fills. In this case, I don't. They're all on separate layers. I think maybe we could even turn the offset down quite a ways and kind of make this really subtle. We'll go every second frame. And I mean, yeah, like I think even just straight away now that his shapes are sort of moving, I mean, this isn't even with line boil on, but just the fact that now each of those shapes are sort of moving, it definitely gives a bit more of a frame by frame look. We'll turn line boil back on. I think that just looks a lot more hand drawn. Like I could see somebody had maybe spent hours sort of meticulously moving things around and trying to get them to look a certain way. Now, finally, just on that same note, just still going over this a little bit more. This is a character that I created recently. Not very happy with it though. I think it turned out a little bit too cute. So I'm actually going to redesign them and maybe make them taller, skinnier, I don't know, a little bit more in like a rskt style. So I haven't actually finished rigging this because of that reason. But if we hit play, you'll see that, yeah, because I don't really have many brush strokes other than things like our eyebrows, I've actually got the same colored strokes around the edges. And that's to sort of give it that moving brush stroke feel. So the edges look a little bit fuzzy. But I'm also doing this sort of noisy outline stuff. You can see this ripple through her shirt as she moves. Just to kind of, yeah, make it look a little bit better and more dynamic. I just think it, it kind of makes these layer effects, if we turn them off, like that's very robotic. It's very stiff and boring. Yeah, it's happening like every few frames, but I think just adding on that layer effects, adding that little bit of a warble. Maybe if we zoom in and really focus on the hair, look how basic and static the hair looks, and we turn this on and we get this cool little warble. And then, yeah, combined with the brush strokes, I think that just looks a lot more appealing. So you can apply this effect for tons of different reasons to tons of different projects, regardless of their style. Yeah, I just think that it works really cool. All right, so that's all we got time for today. Let me know down below in the comments if you found any of this helpful or inspiring. I definitely hope that you'll push through and watch part 2 and 3 because, as I said before, some parts of this series are going to be more interesting than others to different people. So yeah, hit the like if you like, and if you don't, tell me why. Please subscribe, check me out on Patreon, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.